Welcome to the channel, and today's video shows the depravity of some YouTubers, their lack of self-thought, self-awareness, and their utter contempt they have for their fellow human beings. I am referring to Tyrant Beware's video where he reenacts the death of Lion 1. Now unfortunately I'm not going to be able to show a lot of that video, as YouTube correctly has age restricted Terry's video. And if you choose to watch it, it gives appropriate warnings and country-specific contact information for crisis care. There is a line between reporting on a tragedy and exploiting one. And Terry has crossed that line into exploitation. Now, you don't have to agree with every decision law enforcement makes. You don't have to stop asking questions. But when investigators, medical professionals, and the relevant authorities have examined the evidence and reached a conclusion, there comes a point where continuing to turn that death into online content stops being about truth and starts being about attention. What makes this video particularly troubling is not only does it discuss the case, it's a decision to dramatise and reenact a person's death while simultaneously encouraging viewers to revisit accusations against her husband.
You took her life. I'm not afraid to say it. You murdered her.
Despite no official finding that he was responsible. A real person died. A family has been left behind. And instead of respecting that reality, this video turns a tragedy into a performance. Let me start by showing Terry's introduction just to set the scene.
This is a recreation of the event on May the 30th, 2025. Unfortunately, I'm going to have a special guest that I don't want in here. And no, I'm not talking about Matthew Reardon, who is quite literally huddling over a cat that I brought in the house. Matt, can you kind of stop? All right, so we're going to be trying to demonstrate what actually happened that day. And the choice that we're going to be making tonight for a weapon is going to be this. It's the only thing that I have that will actually help us. And just where people are understanding, this is in fact a BB gun, and it is an inoperable one because it clicks, but I cannot turn the safety off because the safety is stuck. I'm actually pretty much giving it all I can, but it is rusted shut, so I cannot fire it at all. There might actually be a BB in there, but it don't matter. But nothing can happen. This trigger has to be pulled back, so it should be completely safe. No harm will come of this. Now, of course, we have a cat that is laying on something that we placed on the bed, and that spot is actually supposed to be the spot where Lion 1's blood was actually found. Now, I am going to move to another spot, which is going to be very particular, but we have a speaker here on the floor, and that's going to represent where the shell casing from the Glock 19 had actually landed on the floor close to the wall. Now, I don't know if that's a spacing, but that's where we're going to go with. So maybe it went that far, maybe not. The direction is more likely the most important thing.
As I said earlier, I was going to break down Terry's full video on the reenactment, but I don't think that's necessary. I'm still going to address some key points, but I'm not going to relitigate Andrea's death itself. That part's already been established in the medical examiner's report, and it was ruled a suicide. What I am going to focus on is the accuracy of what Terry is presenting in his reenactment, because from this point onward, his interpretation stops aligning with the source material. The issue is not whether the report exists, or even what the conclusion was. The issue is how it is being read. Now, Terry's shown a portion of that medical examiner's report, specifically the section that states, if standing at the foot of the bed looking toward the head of the bed, a shell casing was noted to be on the floor between the bed and wall, same side gun was found on bed. End quote. On its own, that sounds straightforward. But what's been left out is context from the full report and how that detail fits into the overall scene description. This is where the reconstruction starts to drift, because instead of working from the complete report, the video appears to isolate a single descriptive line and builds a visual narrative around it. Now, a forensic report is not a storyboard. It's a collection of observations meant to document conditions, not to define a precise sequence of events or a fixed camera angle interpretation. When you start converting selective phrasing into a reconstructed viewpoint, you risk turning descriptive language into something it was never intended to support. And this is where the problem becomes clearer. The reconstruction depends on a very narrow reading of that excerpt, without acknowledging how the full context of the report informs the scene as a whole. Now, another creator, Shizz Happens, she covered the medical examiner's report in detail. She actually read the whole report, something Terry has failed to do. Now, I'm going to show a clip from her live stream. Now, the point here isn't to dismiss everything outright. The point is that once the report is read selectively, the reconstruction built on top of it becomes unreliable.
Police state a gun was found on the bed near the edge of the bed, halfway down on the left side, if standing at the foot of the bed looking toward the head of the bed.
Okay, so what do we have so far? We've got a gun halfway down the bed near the edge on the left-hand side of the bed. If you're facing the bed, standing at the foot end, looking towards the head end of the bed.
A shell casing was noted to be on the floor between the bed and the wall, same side as the gun was found on the body.
The shell casing was found on the floor between the bed and wall, on the same side as the gun was found. Now, this is where Terry deviates from the report. If we look at his reconstruction, he has the shell casing represented by the speaker on the right-hand side of the bed as you stand at the foot of the bed looking towards the head. Now, for the casing to be ejected in this direction would suggest that there was another person involved. Later on in Terry's video, we'll find out who that other person was.
Body was noted to be in an odd position. The feet were noted to be in the middle section of the head of the bed. On back with the body angled left. Head was to the right side of the bed, near the edge of the bed. The face was turned right.
Now, I'm going to theorise here, but this tells me that initially Andrea might have been facing to the left-hand side of the bed, probably lying diagonally across the bed from right to left. Once again, if you're standing at the foot of the bed looking towards the head. We know that Rabbit moved the body. According to police, husband states he moved the body and stated he tried to do CPR. The report goes on to say that her head was on the right-hand side of the bed, face turned to the right. Now, we also know that the entry room was on the right-hand side of her head. This tells me that Rabbit rolled Andrea to the right-hand side of the bed so that he could attempt CPR. Let's head back to Terry's demonstration and see how he explains it.
You want me to show you?
No, that's incorrect. Because it does, it kicks out the right side, the shell ejection the right side.
Yeah. Step up and I'll show you real quick. Alright, so we're going to try this again.
I thought it should be over there,
Yeah. So basically the way it was her head was like this, fetal position, which is like this. It's probably more like this.
Yeah.
Now, normally, you would shoot yourself like this.
Okay.
But the gun would have had to been like this, which is very, very uncomfortable.
How did I have it? Because I feel like the way that I had it would have
It's very awkward and it's not even good. If you can see, I'm having to keep my finger off the trigger because I'm in so much.
Because Terry doesn't understand how to properly reconstruct a crime scene, he assumes that the casing had to eject in a specific direction. According to his theory, the only way the casing could have landed where he claims is if that pistol was effectively being held backwards. But that's not what the evidence shows. The report places both the firearm and the spent casing on the left side of the bed, and that suggests that Andrea was likely orientated towards the left side of the bed, not positioned the way Terry is portraying it in his reenactment. There's another problem that Terry completely overlooks: the firearm itself. First, Andrea did not own a Glock 19 Gen 5, as he claims. She owned a Glock 17 Gen 3. And the distinction between the two, the Glock Gen 3 pistols became well known for erratic ejection patterns. Owners frequently reported that spent casings were ejecting straight back to the shooter, striking the forehead or safety glasses, ejecting upward, or flying in seemingly random directions. In some cases, the issue was so severe it would cause failures to eject or stovepipes. In other words, Terry's assumption that a casing from a Glock 17 Gen 3 will always eject in one predictable direction simply isn't supported by the firearm's documented history. A spent casing landing in an unexpected location does not automatically prove that the shooter was positioned in a certain way. With a Gen 3 Glock, casing trajectory can be remarkably inconsistent. Treating ejection direction as if it was a precise indicator of body position is like treating a sure bet in the Kentucky Derby as a guaranteed outcome. Sometimes you'll be right, but it's hardly a certainty. Detective Inspector Terry Moore, Homicide Division, is going to explain why it isn't self-inflicted, why someone else was involved, and who that person is.
You'd have to turn the gun like this, which makes it even awkwarder. But if you notice, there's a gap in between the butt of the gun and the palm of my hand, which would explain the blood on her palm. Now, in this position, I can barely put my finger on the trigger. I'm trying to pull it, but I can barely do it. This is not going to work. She had to have somebody do it for her. This was not suicide, it was homicide. And this is why. We already know they were having problems. That's the biggest point. She was going to leave him. What you guys really don't know is, I can't prove this definitively, but this is exactly what happened. You can actually bring that back down, Matt. Bring it back down. Let's try to bring it up. All right, so, yeah, that's not working either.
Here, hold it.
Yeah, just here. Yeah, that's perfect. Right there, don't move. So, what you guys need to understand is they were having problems. What I imagine as a theory, and it's just a theory, it can be proven by professionals, it's not unprovable. But when he came in, I'm betting she told him to leave, that she was kicking him out, and she was going to go back to Ohio, like we've all said she was. Because before he came home, we do know she was in Utah Defenders channel, chatting it up, very excited, even said she's doing chores. That's not something that you do when you're trying to commit suicide. All right, so I apologize. We had a disturbance at the door.
Yeah, cut that.
Yeah. So basically, when he came home, they had an argument. It got verbal. And somewhere in this argument, I don't know which part of the house it happened in. It could have happened right there in their very own bedroom. But he kind of scared her. And Matt, I'm going to need you to follow me, because this is very important. And this is what I know. She always kept her gun on her nightstand, which would be over here. So imagine the gun being there, her getting scared. She jumped on the bed, follow me. She grabs the gun, comes back, follow me, aims it towards him, but he grabs it, forces it back, and tries to twist it, brings her down, and then bang. Unfortunately, you're not on me. He kills her. Now, that's exactly what I think happened. And unfortunately, I'm pretty sure I did not do it 100% the way I'm imagining it, because I need somebody to help me out. And of course, I didn't think Matthew and his PTSD would have any interference, but unfortunately, I got to do this on my own. I do appreciate his help. He is actually holding the camera for me, which is really good. But I'm going to do something that I always sworn I would never do.
So Detective Inspector Moore has come out and said that there was a second person. He even went as far as telling us exactly what happened. He has implied who that second person is. Pity that none of what he is saying lines up with what is in the official reports. Moore says, and I quote, "He kills her. Now that's exactly what I think happened." End quote. And yet, a full autopsy, a complete police investigation, came back with a finding of suicide. Now, on to Moore's next two big reveals.
Matt kind of viewing off me. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what you've all been waiting for. Welcome to Tyrants Beware. My real name is Josh Newsham. That's JOSHNEWSON. And I have a special message for you, Rabbit. If you want to sit there and put temporary protection orders against people for talking about this case, send me mine, because I don't give a damn. Lion was a human being. You're a piece of shit for what you did. I know that's what happened. All of us that care about her, we're not going to stop. You can take down one, you can take down another, but you're not going to take us down all. Because we cared about her more than your cheating ass ever did. You sat there and ran to the bank and tried to clean out her account the day after you took her life. I'm not afraid to say it. You murdered her. And you should be ashamed of that. Any real man would have walked away and tried to rebuild his life. But you didn't. You took her life. You ended everything. She had a bright future whether you wanted to believe it or not. She was not suicidal. All those papers around the house that you claim was her leaving notes of who it goes to who, that's for her to sell, to give to the people that she wanted to give, so where she would have less when she went back to Ohio. But guess what? There's one way to prove my theory right. Your little friend, Hurricane Bitch, she gave me the information I needed. The bed. So here's my theory, and I've already got it in action. We sent a message to Tim. We've let him know. We don't think it ended up in the bed. All right, so we had some technical difficulties there, but we're coming back in. But overall, very funny, Matthew. But we do know Tim Matthews still has access to the property. The bullet's still there. If my theory is correct, it didn't just end up in the bed. It's in the floor. This mattress here would be the same as hers with the box spring, which means This is all fabric. Bullet's going to travel through fabric easily. Now, I can't prove that. It's only a theory. But if we go back to the house and we search that floor and we find a hole that looks like a bullet wound, then we know I was correct. It also shows it wasn't suicide. It was homicide. Because as you've seen, it was very awkward for me to shoot the way I did and have a hole in the bed where it's supposed to be, in the position that she was supposed to have been in. Now, I put up the 911 call, and I did listen to it a second time, and I did mark a very particular spot where she asked for help. It was very hard to, under those circumstances, to take that. A lot of people understand why, because I've been through this before. It's why I do what I do. I want justice for everyone, not just certain people. It's why I don't choose who I fight justice for. If you're guilty, I'll come after you. If you're innocent, I'll help prove it. That's who I am. That's what it means to be Tyrants Beware. It's not a name. It's a warning. That's what you guys never seem to figure it out. I'm not TB. I'm not Tyrants Beware. Tyrants Beware is just simply a message. It's a warning. If I lock eyes on you, you don't know what's going to happen. When I get focused, that's when I become dangerous. I was dangerous when I focused in on Michael. Where is he at? He's serving 4 more years in prison. I'm focused in on you, William. And I'm not going to stop because I know the truth. I play dumb. That's my character. Because the moment you think stupidity is who I am, you begin to talk like certain people who just gave me all the information I need. And that's how I get you. Little rule of thumb. When I hand you a rope, don't hang yourself with it. You did it, Billy. Just like Kaiser did. And I won't stop. And neither will her true friends.
Before I continue, I owe you an apology. I should have warned you that Terry Moore was about to remove the balaclava. I'm sorry. Although, to be fair, your identity wasn't exactly a secret. You're not Josh Newsom. Your identity was revealed by Lucids Lair back in September of 2024, largely through your own actions.
But the nail in the coffin for Tyrants Beware was on his own channel. He had a short posted for an obituary of a girl who worked at Toyota. And he signed the memorial book in his own name and then put it on his channel. That short is no longer anywhere to be found, and it's because after I pointed that out to him, he took it down. Even in the memorial post, he mentions the song See You Again by Wiz Khalifa. Guess what song was in the background of the short? Yeah.
But let's get back to Terry Moore. Moore is now publicly accused Rabbit of murdering his wife. His exact words were, "I'm not afraid to say it. You murdered her, and you should be ashamed of that. Any real man would have walked away and tried to rebuild his life. But you didn't. You took her life. You ended everything."
The day after you took her life. I'm not afraid to say it. You murdered her. And you should be ashamed of that. Any real man would have walked away and tried to rebuild his life. But you didn't. You took her life. You ended everything.
Moore, I would urge you to tread carefully. Accusing someone of murder is a serious allegation, particularly when the official findings do not support your claim. Disagreeing with an investigation is one thing. Publicly declaring that someone committed homicide is something entirely different. Think about the impact those accusations can have on a person's reputation, their family, the memory of the deceased. And this isn't directed solely at Moore. The same applies to Todd Bryant, Christopher Ryder, Matthew Reardon, Steve Nolan, and any other creator promoting the theory that Lion 1's death was murder, despite the official finding of suicide. But while we're here, there's another issue I want to address, because I've heard it repeated across multiple channels. Now, the answer is found in both the medical examiner's report and the 911 call. Let me walk you through a sequence of events as I understand it. At approximately 4:19 p.m, Rabbit called 911. Now, warning, I am going to play about 90 seconds of that call because it's directly relevant to this discussion.
What is
So this is
exactly
critical.
what happened?
So I just came home, got out of the shower, came into my bedroom, and my wife shot herself.
She shot
I'm
herself?
experiencing agonal breathing.
Shooter
It
said
appears
that.
I do not know, sir. It appears to be in the head. It's brain matter all over. I'm experiencing agonal breathing. She is not responding.
How old is she?
45.
45?
Yes. Hang on, take a pad. Oh my God. Andrea.
Is she responding to you any, sir?
I don't know if it's her responding or if it's vaginal breathing, sir. I don't know. Come here, baby. Come back. I don't know when this happened, sir.
Okay, did
Come back, baby.
Did you hear the gunshot?
No, sir. I just got back from shower.
Where's the gun?
It's under me. I just unloaded it.
At approximately 4:20 p.m, the 911 operator asks, "Did you hear the gunshot?" Rabbit responds, "No, sir, I did not." Now, later in the day, law enforcement interviews Rabbit. According to the report, Rabbit stated that he believed his wife had shot herself whilst he was in the shower, but he didn't hear any noise. That statement is consistent with what he told the 911 operator earlier. Now, while preparing this video, I contacted Rabbit and asked a simple question. Before taking a shower, did you see Lion 1 when you arrived home? Rabbit answered with, "No, he didn't. The bedroom door was closed." Now, for some people, that immediately raises questions. If it wasn't normal, but let me hypothesize. Lion 1 has established a routine. She would often lie down in the afternoon, close the curtains, turn off the light and shut the bedroom door. Rabbit would come home, see the door closed and go about his normal routine. On this particular day, that routine was taking a shower. My theory: Rabbit finished his shower, entered the bedroom to get dressed and discovered that Lion 1 was on the bed with a gunshot wound to the head. Now, if this sequence is accurate, it would explain why Rabbit never heard a gunshot. Lion 1 was still alive when she was discovered, but that does not mean that the gunshot had just occurred. The fact that she was exhibiting agonal breathing is entirely consistent with the possibility that she had shot herself sometime earlier, before Rabbit had arrived home. If the shot occurred before he got home, Rabbit would have no opportunity to hear it. That explanation is also consistent with what Rabbit told both the 911 operator and law enforcement, that he did not hear a gunshot. Now, at the end of the day, everybody is free to form their own opinions, but opinions should not be confused with evidence. The medical examiner's official ruling was suicide. Now, you may disagree with that conclusion, but if you're going to challenge it, the burden is on you to produce the evidence that contradicts it. Until then, Terry Moore, Todd Bryan, Matthew Reardon, Christopher Ryder, Steve Nolan, and every other channel pushing a homicide narrative should consider whether the evidence actually supports the claims that are being made. The official finding remains suicide, and that's where I'm going to leave it. Thanks for watching. Whether you agree with me or not, go read the reports for yourself and draw your own conclusions. Leave a comment below, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.